Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about another episode of Motherland Fort Salem, episode 205, titled Brianna's Favorite Pencil, which premiered Tuesday, July 20th, 2021, on Freeform or ABC Spark, depending on when you're watching it from. But huge spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I am recording, it's roughly 3 hours since the episode has ended for me. So let's get right into this and see what I thought about it first off. But let's start with the timeline. So it takes place the day after the events of 204 because Anacosta and Rael kind of refer to the fact that the testing center fiasco was yesterday. So that's where my conclusions are drawn from. The episode reminder, though, is the fact that we are covering Halloween slash Samhain. I know they pronounce that differently, but since it's been 3 hours, I don't remember how. But it is spelt like Samhain, so there's that. But episode breakdown of the storylines, I picked up on two specific ones. First one being Talk to the Dead, and the second one being Camaria's Gala. Now, the first storyline, this particularly revolves around the Samhain tradition at the academy or at the war college, and it revolves around a bonfire tradition where the task is to bleed in the fire, and you have to guard this fire from the spirits trying to put it out as part of a legend tradition that went to it. And if you can keep the fire going until the last strike of midnight, and if you keep it as the only fire going, I believe, then you are given the opportunity to commune with the dead. And our unit does win overall, so they each get a candle and they find a secluded area and they light it, and they have until the candle burns out to talk to this spirit. Now, Rael decides to call upon her mother, who of course doesn't show because we know that Willa Collar is not actually dead. Tally ends up communing with one of the victims in that massacre in Liberia, from that mission with Alder and Nikta Batan, and she finds out that they didn't kill themselves. They were forced due to a working that pretty much forced them to kill themselves. Even though they just surrendered to Alder, Alder sent in this working, and she pretty much eliminated them, even though they were going to come quietly. Which is why Nikta called Alder cold-hearted and having a heart as cold as black. So there's that. Now with Abigail, she calls on her cousin Charvel, and she pretty much gets set straight on her behavior and how, like, don't be a soldier, be a warrior, get things done, don't just take orders and let things happen to you, kind of a thing. And it has Abigail like realizing that she's not acting like who she's supposed to be, or who she did, or who she was at the beginning before Charvel's death. So that's something there. We also find out from Gorgoria that he plans to communicate with Liba, although we don't see this, so we're assuming that it happens off screen. Now, with the second storyline with the Camaria's Gala, this is Anacosta and Scylla infiltrating this little party as Shane's guest. His wife Bonnie doesn't go because she's taking their daughter Brianna out for Halloween, only one block according to him, for trick-or-treating. And at this party where everyone's wearing a mask, they find out that Shane's way of getting invited into this gala was to bring a little gift in the form of Brianna's old friend Tiffany as the sacrifice of the little witch to the Camarilla slaughter, kind of a thing. And they plan to stone the girl. Like, really? Like, ugh. Anyways, we see Jack Rosardi going against Anacosta, and he doesn't recognize her at all. So either they did something to his memory, or he really just doesn't recognize her. And then the guy who's leading this whole thing at this event was Marcus Toombs, the guy in the white suit with the red mask. Scylla ends up burning his face off, and then she inhales this smoke from him. So I'm wondering if that's like her taking his form or something. Like, what does that mean? Because that's the first time we see her inhale the smoke of a victim like that. So maybe like he becomes one of the faces she'll use that flame trick on maybe later. But then she does the same thing in the last moments of the episode where Scylla takes on the form of Bonnie and kills Shane with their daughter's favorite pencil, which is in reference to the episode's title. And then she walks out of the house as herself, but the real Bonnie catches her. They have a little chit chat moment where Scylla tells her to find something to fight and live for and don't let hate consume you. Bonnie doesn't get it, but when she goes inside, she finds her dead husband and screams. So now I'm wondering, since Bonnie's still alive, how did Scylla take on Bonnie's form if I assumed the person had to die like what she did to Marcus? So anyways, that's a little surprise right there. But tidbits though, let's go right into that. We got General Sharma being killed in India while traveling on a government transport due to the Camarilla sending out that black plague type thing, that spidery thing, or parasite from the looks of it. While Adil and Khalida were with her traveling to India, but they survived the attack. Adil even returns to Fort Salem to be with Abigail, while Khalida stays with the Hague. We also see Willow losing another spree member in Jonas. He walks away, but maybe we'll see him again, because otherwise I don't see why they would show this moment in particular, or why they'd show the tension between Jonas and Willa and Scylla. So that's up there. We see Rael confronting Anacosta about Scylla, about her not being locked up like she believed, how she was at the treatment center opening, or the testing center opening, and Rael wanted answers, but Anacosta doesn't give her anything new than what she already suspected. But she definitely doesn't answer the question of how she got the old photo. We see Tally confronting Alder about Nita Batan, and Alder showing that she was unaware that Tally was still seeing Alder's memories, to the point now Alder pretty much tells Tally to go see Isadora to sever that connection with some medication. We even have Alder kind of berating Tally for her little bursting in the office door in the middle of the night for answers kind of an action. So there's that. We also find out that Tally's plans to occupy Abigail during their upcoming break is now changed to her occupy or accompany Rael to her home, due to her need to see her father when her mother's ghost didn't appear during her Samhain reward. So that's a lot that happened there. But most shocking moment of the episode, let's get right into that. Most shocking, I would think, is Scylla actually killing Shane during the daytime and then running into Bonnie as she leaves as herself. And yeah, so it's like now Bonnie knows that her old buddy Justine just killed her husband, kind of a thing, right? So it's like, I'm kind of surprised that she did that. Like not only did she blow her cover, but she like really outed herself there. So like, I'm kind of surprised she didn't just turn into somebody else's face, or if she didn't just say that, oh, I came to see you, but no one was answering the door, kind of thing. And so I don't know if that's what Bonnie thought, or maybe she does think that her buddy Justine killed her husband, but I don't know. But moving on to top 3 favorite moments. I'm really liking the growing dynamic between Rael, Tally, and Abigail. Their care for each other, especially when Rael and Tally are really worried about Abigail's behavior and wanting to be there for her. It's definitely a huge change. I mentioned it before. They've come a long way since the beginning of season 1, and I'm really liking that they're trying to be there for each other, really taking the sisterhood to the next level for them. So I'm really liking to see how this goes, and I'm glad to see that they're there for each other in the darkest of times for them. So there's that. Another favorite I like is the actual tradition that they participated in for Samhain. The cool exercise, essentially, even though it looked like those arrows could kill you from the looks of Gregorio taking a hit. Oh, that's also another side favorite, was that I think something is building between Gregorio and Tally, because he literally took a hit for her, and then when he was healed, she came to his side, and they look like they shared a moment. So, like, I think something's building. Yes, he still is maybe grieving over Libba, but, like, something can still grow. I don't know. But it was very cool type of an exercise of, like, a tradition that they could have, and it's not just a simple task kind of a thing. Although it's kind of a dangerous task. But it was very cool to also have Rael use her mycelium power to help out in this sense. Plus, I also think for the unit, that's probably the first time they've seen it in action, except for maybe Abigail, and that was it. So there's that. And another favorite I will say is the dynamic between Anacostia and Scylla. I'm really liking the team up. They seem to be getting along, in my opinion. Even when they were getting ready for the gala and they're like heading over to Shane and Bonnie's place, them just like their witty banter with each other, them complimenting each other, and then like saying like, and then like wanting to swap clothes. It's like, oh, do we share clothes now? It's like, but and then the comment is like, you look great too, kind of thing. I'm loving it, and it's just like you would not tell that there were enemies at one point from that conversation, and the fact that they were on the same page in this episode, how they both wanted to save Tiffany, and no matter what, and like how they were going to do it. It was just like they're on the same page, and I'm loving it, and I'm here for it. So there's that. Moving on to top 3 peeves. The one thing I'll say, and it's not really a peeve, but it's more of a disgust, but is the fact that Tiffany was Shane's get into the party card as a sacrifice, and they were all ready to stone her, and she was just a kid. And for the Camarilla to call that as an old-time tradition for them, I was appalled. It's like, it's a child. She barely knows that she's a witch. Like, you can't condemn her for that. It was just wild. It also didn't surprise me the moment that Brianna brought it up to her parents about like whether or not Tiffany can go trick-or-treating with them, and Shane said like, she's on vacation, don't you remember, honey? I kept thinking like, oh, what did they do to Tiffany? And then the moment he told Anacostia and Scylla, when they asked him like, how'd he get an invite to this party, and he was like he brought them a gift or something, or like he gave them something they wanted. I had a bad feeling that it was going to be Tiffany. And when I saw them bring that little girl out, and I'm like, oh no, he didn't. He just took his child's former friend, and he's willing to sacrifice her when she has done nothing wrong at all. And like, he knows the child. And I'm just like, wow. I felt no remorse when Scylla killed him, but I'm like, wow, dude. That's really how we're going to paint the picture of the Camarilla. Which makes sense because they're supposed to side with the witches, right? So there's that. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. First one, does Anacostia know that Willa Collar is alive? Let alone that she's part of the spree? Because I would like to think that if she knew that, she would tell Willa, or she would tell Raelle in some way that her mother is still alive. So that's why I'm led to believe that maybe she doesn't know, because I feel like she would have, knowing how much that loss meant to Raelle, I feel like Anacostia would have said something. And another question, when will Raelle learn that Willa is alive? I would have thought that Willa not appearing as a ghost would have been Raelle's first hint that maybe Willa isn't dead. Because Charvel has been dead the less amount of time as Willa, because Willa is, to Raelle's belief, Willa's been dead for a year. Charvel's been dead for less that amount. So I'd feel like if Charvel was able to appear as a spirit, then it would be safe to assume that anyone who's been dead longer than Charvel would have also appeared as a spirit. So I'm wondering how long it would take for Raelle to also come to that conclusion, that if her mom's spirit didn't show up during this ritual, then maybe she's just not a spirit. And maybe she's out there alive somewhere. Like, I'm waiting for that reunion to happen. So let's make this happen. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 206, I saw Raelle hugging her dad. I saw Adil with Abigail at some kind of formal dinner. I saw Tally on the run in the dark. And then I saw Raelle using the mycelium power for protection. I saw Scylla and Willa out in the field and them learning something that invokes the saying, Goddess protect. And then we see Isadora doing some testing with some blood and what I assume is that black plague attack that the Camarilla have been using. And then it somehow attacks Alder and the Biddies. A lot of things happen. I don't know which are connected to which, but we'll find out soon. But based off the synopsis for the episode, it reads that Raelle brings Tally home to the secession where they struggle with the past. Abigail is confronted with pressure from her family when Adil accompanies her home. that'll be interesting to see where all that leads. But otherwise, that is about it for this episode and this recap, guys. What did you think of it? Of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? We've now hit the middle marker of the season. What do you think will be in store for us for the next 5 episodes? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and opinions about what you think will happen next. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopsis news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. I haven't done it for Motherland, Fort Salem, but I have done it for other shows that I do cover on my YouTube channel. If you want to just check that out. Same thing for WordPress. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. Same thing again. Otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I can't believe we're already halfway through the season already. It is going fast. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. Till then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are. Please stay safe. Please stay hydrated because the summer weather is getting intense. But until then, bye, guys.